Let me ask you a deceptively simple question. Could you actually get richer by knowing less, not by reading every news headline, not by owning 100 different stocks, but by ruthlessly following on just a few things that you deeply understand, specializing in something that you truly do believe? Can that get you richer? So, the question we have for today is, can you actually get richer by knowing less? Warren Buffett does think so. In fact, he attributes a large part of his investing success to something that he's called as the circle of competence. So, what exactly is the circle of competence, and how can you stay inside your circle of competence and make yourself wealthier rather than chasing the entire market? By the end of this video, we'll break it down and I'll show you why the key to extraordinary results might just lie in narrowing your focus and not expanding. So, part one is, what exactly is circle of competence? A lot of people ask me saying, what is the circle of competence in reality? How do I get to know what is my circle? Let's get Warren Buffett to answer that question for you. Warren Buffett defines your circle of competence as the set of businesses, enterprises, industries, or even financial ideas that you understand deeply and intuitively. Not just something you read about in the newspaper, not the latest trend on Twitter or Reddit, but something where you have real edge, either because of experience, insight, or long term observation. Here's how Buffett puts it: you don't have to be an expert on every company. You only have to understand the ones you're investing in. That's it. You draw a small circle and you stay inside that circle. And everything outside of it, you ignore, even if it's booming. Because the cost of ignorance is far greater than the fear of missing out. Part two, what I want to talk to you guys is why knowing too much can hurt you. How is it detrimental to your investing? In a world that is obsessed with more and more and more information, more stocks, more exposure, more amount of news, and doom scrolling at its best, Buffett chooses less. He's often said the size of your circle of competence doesn't matter. Knowing its boundaries does matter. Most investors overestimate what they know. They read a tweet about semiconductors and believe they understand Nvidia. They read pretty much any news article and they believe that they now know more than everybody else does. They watch one YouTube video on a biotech company or a stock and they're ready to invest in CRISPR. But markets are brutally efficient at punishing overconfidence. And ironically, the more we try to know about everything, the less deeply we understand anything. That's how investors pretty much get blindsided. They confuse familiarity with competence, and that's the easiest way of paying the price. Let's give some real life examples on how Buffett has been able to stay within his circle of competence throughout his career. Now, here's where it gets astonishing, right? Buffett has famously avoided entire industries for decades, including tech, because they sat outside his circle. He missed the dot com boom, he missed early Amazon, he missed Google, and people mocked him for it. But what did he do? He stayed disciplined and focused on companies like American Express, Geico, Coca-Cola, and still made tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions. Industries he deeply understood, brands that I guess he could easily predict, and business models that stayed within his circle and had pricing power is the places that he went in and put his money. Look at his investment in Coca-Cola. $1.3 billion investment in Coca-Cola turned into 25 billion. Zero effort, just understanding, patience, and time. Later, when Apple finally entered his circle of competence, when he decided to enter tech stocks, he acted and it became his largest holding, worth over $150 billion. Again, he bought it when everybody questioned him, but he's the one with the big money today, right? That's the power of waiting for the fact pitch inside your circle. So, how do you find your circle? Right? Part four, let's talk about that. How do you find your circle? How is it that an investor can build his own circle? Start with what you already know. If you work in tech, you understand cloud infrastructure better than most. If you run a business, you likely understand cash flows and customer behavior. If you spend hours on certain platforms, brands, or services, that's real world insight. You know better than most people do when you use a product. The trick is to be honest. Don't stretch your circle out larger just because you want to sound smart. That doesn't make you money. Shrink it until only the most obvious truths remain. Buffett didn't get rich by being a generalist. He got rich by being a specialist in simplicity. So, back to the whole question, right? How do we answer the opening question? Can knowing less actually make you richer? Yes. If you follow something very simple, if what you know and you know it deeply, then 100% you can make yourself richer. And also, if you have the humility to admit what you don't know, the market does not reward complexity, it rewards clarity. You don't need to master 50 sectors. You don't need to invest in 100 companies. You just need to understand a few great businesses and bet heavy. Wait patiently for them to be mispriced. And as Buffett reminds us, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. The more time you spend inside your circle of competence, the less risk you take, the greater your edge becomes. So if you want to invest like Buffett, don't expand your circle, sharpen it. If this gave you a new lens to think about your own investing approach, smash the like button and let me know in the comments what's in your circle of competence and what's outside of it. Don't forget to subscribe. The next Buffett principle we cover might change your investments forever. See you in the next one. Thank you so much.